Applejack watches her brother be punished by I'll spell that out for you because it's incredibly hard to pronounce. M-D-E-V-A-U-G-H-N-C. M. Devon C. I don't fucking know. Applejack returns early from an errand and catches her brother in a compromising position. After the initial awkwardness, she decides to witness the act. Applejack wore a wide grin as she trotted back to the farm. Today she had truly outdone herself. She left this morning to help Brayburn plant this year's apple trees. Between the trip to Appaloosa and workload, Applejack planned to spend the night with her cousin and come home tomorrow. The implications. But when she got to Brayburn's farm, her cousin had the audacity to dare her to finish planting the field in one afternoon. She busted her rump more than ever and totally drained herself. But she finished. She planted the trees and walking back to her barn by sundown. That was an incomplete sentence. She chose not to alert her family beforehand. She wanted to surprise them. Maybe sneak up on Applebloom and give her a fright. Applejack rounded the hill and made her way down to the barn house. She was going to walk through the front door, but she paused. She decided to go ahead and prank her little sister Applejack. Oh wait, fuck. She decided to go ahead and prank her little sister. Applejack was still miffed at her last week for trying to earn her cutie mark in hairdressing by styling her big sister's mane. Then she had to go to Rarity to get the color out and listen to hours on improving her locks. So Applejack planned to duck inside the barn and wait for Applebloom to come home. She was always out with her little friends and wouldn't get home until the sun went down. As soon as she passed the barn, Applejack would jump out with the pitchfork and give a heck of a scare. So Applejack planned to... oh fuck. Applejack chuckled to herself as she tiptoed to the door. She opened the and peered inside. Now, Applejack has had many adventures over the past years, seen plenty of monsters, demons, and different horrifying creatures. There wasn't much in the world that could truly shock her. But what she laid her eyes on inside the barn froze the farmer in her spot, her jaw swaying in the air. The muffled sound came from the covered mouth of Applejack's big brother, Big Macintosh. His mouth was blocked by a red rubber ball gag, tied back a black latex muzzle. His eyes were covered by a similar black blindfold. Big Mac sat on a workbench, strapped down by ropes. Strapped down by A ropes. Oh my fuck. The bench was slanted down the ground so that his ass hung in the air, while his sister had a full view. Said ass was covered in bruises and blisters. What was that, darling? I couldn't quite hear you. Applejack regained some of her senses and turned to her left to the voice. Although she didn't see the pony, she recognized the voice very well. She turned and saw her friend Rarity, except she never saw her dresses in this manner. Rarity wore a full-body black rubber suit, except the flank end was removed to display her cutie marks. She wore a red spiked collar and red cap. Her horn was lit up as she levitated a wooden spanking paddle. Care to repeat yourself? Rarity asked. Big Mac only replied with a muffled groan. Oh? You're not going to answer me? She lifted the paddle above his ass. Naughty boy. Whap! Rarity slammed the paddle against Big Mac's bum. The station could only inch forward and moan in pain. Station, not stallion. What? I can't hear you. Rarity cooed and backed the paddle again. Whap! What the heck is going on? Applejack cried out. Rarity gasped in shock and dropped the paddle. Big Macintosh took a few seconds to comprehend what he heard. He questioned. Applejack! Rarity screamed. What are you doing here? I thought you were going to be gone until tomorrow. Applejack blinked by her surprise and answered. I finished my job early and caught a train back home. What are you doing here? Well, if you really want to know, Big Macintosh and I were engaging in some recreation. Rarity spoke with her painted haughty tone, but she was blushing like a tomato. Applejack's eyes went back and forth between Rarity and her brother. I see. Why are you doing this kind of thing in my barn? What if Apple Bloom or Granny walked in? Oh, please, Applejack. We're not fools. Applejack's sleeping over at my house with Sweetie, and Granny is spending the night with one of her knitting friends, and you weren't supposed to be here. We had the place to ourselves, darling. Though we probably should have locked the door. You think? Applejack rolled her eyes in response. I really didn't need to see this. Rarity humped, and stuck her nose up in the air. We're not doing anything wrong. We are two single adult ponies enjoying a night together. We have nothing to be ashamed of. Do we, Big Mac? Nope. Big Mac muffled. He was too laid back to be embarrassed by the situation. Applejack and Rarity just stared at each other in awkward silence for a few seconds. Applejack broke the silence by asking, So, do you guys do this often? For the past 3 weekends. Whose idea was this? Rarity smiled. Mine, darling. I picked on your brother's submissive demeanor, and guessed he'd be into S&M. We met for dinner a few times and I dropped the idea. He was hesitant at first, but he gradually warmed up to it. Rarity lightly patted Mac's rear with her hoof. Oh no. Really, I gotta say, I never would have guessed. I figured Big Mac wasn't into sex. Macintosh yelled, feeling insulted. Rarity shook her head sideways. We don't engage in intercourse. Our play is all about the thrill of the actions. Applejack looked confused. Y'all ain't having sex? Then what's the point? The point is pleasure, darling. Big Mac gets off on being disciplined, while I enjoy disciplining him. I still don't get it. Well, maybe a visual example will work better. Rarity undid Big Mac's muzzle. Big Mac, would you mind continuing while your sister watches? If she doesn't mind, I don't, he responded. Well, Applejack? Applejack sighed. I guess I'll never get this image out of my head anyway. Sure, I'll watch. She trotted two over toward the back and sat on another bench. Nice sentence, dude. Rarity giggled and clapped her hooves. Oh, goody. I haven't played with an audience. I've never played with an audience. How exciting! She tightened the muzzle back on Big Macintosh and levitated the paddle. Okay, dearie. Where were we? Wow. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, click the like button. But if you didn't, click the dislike button. I don't mind anyway. I like your opinions, I like your honesty. And if you really enjoyed this video, you can do me a huge favor by clicking the subscribe button, sharing this video with your friends, your favorite forums, your favorite image boards, your social media, shit like that. And click that bell button so you get notified when I put out new videos. I promise you won't be disappointed, but if you are, you can unsubscribe. Because, Well, whatever. You can subscribe. You can subscribe just for the cringe, you know? Anyway, fuck off.